Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're new to the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media account. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, this week, full week, we should have volume. Everybody should be back to work. Now, looking at the economic calendar, we get some Fed speakers at noontime on Monday. We have some consumer confidence at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have the JOLTS jobs opening and some GDP in the morning. And we have Powell speaking at 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday. And let's see, Thursday, we have core PCI unemployment claims, ISM manufacturing on Thursday morning, and Friday morning non-farm employment change and unemployment rate. So we got some news coming out this week. Hopefully we'll get the market going and not be choppy, because Friday obviously was half a day and volume was low. It was very choppy. Hopefully we'll get some action this week and some volatility. Speaking of volatility, before I get into the VIX, the CPI, the CPCE, the put to call ratio is at 0.63. It's fairly low. It can go lower, and it's been going from extreme high to extreme low, like almost daily. It'll go to extreme low one day, the next day extreme high. It's just the SPY going from daily expiration is kind of broken, the put to call ratio thing, and it used to be very, very dependable. But the last week it has not been, because of the daily expiration on SPY. I think that has broke it. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis into that as much as we used to. Just, it's still good to look at, and if the put to call ratio right now is low, that everyone's in calls, you can, if it starts looking like we're gonna end up dumping, and the market and price action supports it, that then you can start looking at stuff like that. But we just can't go jumping in blindly just because put the call ratio is very, very low and expect a pop, because that may not be the case anymore. Because back months and years ago, you could go look at the open interest and you could basically play off from that. You can't do that anymore because things are getting paid. You got to learn to adapt to the changes. And when open interest changed, I don't pay much attention to it anymore because it gets paid. It's just the way it is. It's just how the market evolves, and you got to evolve with it or get left behind. So now that we talked about the put to call ratio is really low, I have VIX up, and VIX, I don't see it getting under 20, and if it does, I don't think it stays under there long. We have a lot of things going on in the world that just not very bullish at all, and everyone is basically banking on the Fed pivot, and historically the Fed pivot has not been a good thing. Maybe it is temporarily, but overall, looking out a month or two afterwards, it ends up being based on historic pivots, that ends up dropping 20-30%. So we'll have to see if that actually happens again or what. So yeah, it gets under 20, I'd be really looking at SPY dumping. So we'll just have to watch VIX. I don't see it getting under 20. If it does, the be-all end-all is going to be 18, right around 18. Yeah, then you get down here at like 16. But the VIX acts like a coiled spring. The more it's compressed, the more violent it's going to pop. That's how you always should look at VIX. Is like a coiled spring analogy, because that's the way it acts. It gets pressed down. The more it gets pressed down, the more violent it's going to pop. Just like if you would press down a coiled spring and you lose pressure on the downward motion on a coiled spring, it's going to spring back in your face violently. And that's just how VIX works, exactly like that. So Under 20, I'd definitely be watching for SPY to take a dump. Now, another thing about SPY is that SPY is getting up there on the weekly trend line right there. I mean, you can draw it right there, right off the tip, off the body. If you draw it off the body, it'll match right up to this level right here. But I kept it off the top of the wicks just for, the be all end all for the trend line. But SPY likes to overshoot and undershoot levels. So it may not even get to the 405, 406 area. It may just turn around tomorrow. But it can also get to the 406 level and overshoot to 410 before it actually does end up coming back down on that. So, but weekly it does up against the trend line and getting close to it. So definitely looking for a reversal on SPY. Put the call ratio supports a red day at least. So I mean. This is right where the put to call ratio and SPY ended up breaking away from each other. This is where SPY ended up having daily expirations, and the put to call ratio has just been going crazy, and you can see it right here. But sometimes the put to call ratio gets so high and so extreme that it's good for at least a day. If everyone's in calls, you can expect maybe one red day. It's just you're not gonna. It doesn't used to get these violent moves, but lately it's been like this instead of this or this. So just gonna adapt to it. So I would be watching SPY under actually say 400. It gets under 400, then we'll actually see some momentum down to a 395 level. And then you get 390, and then you get 385, which is where gap fill is going to be gap support. It's going to be even below a 385 is gap fill down to 381 or 380. So definitely keep an eye on that. But if it does manage to break out more, I'd watch it over 403 or push to 405, then possibly 410. We do have some gap right here, gap fill of 409. So it's possible that if we do break over this 403, we could fill this gap up to 408. On that. So you got to keep an open mind. Like I said, it could overshoot. It could overshoot that level and fill the gap then before it comes down. So we'll have to see what happens pre-market and overnight, because the futures have been getting pumped and dumped overnight. We've been having some pretty big moves overnight here and there. So that's why you need to be in the room in the morning, and we just make those adjustments pre-market on what levels we're looking at and stuff like that. So as of right now, put the call ratios low, probably get a dump a day or two, Monday or Tuesday. Who knows how big the dump will be. It could be a few points, or it could be 10 points. So just have to prepare for that. Now, Amazon is what I'm looking at. Cyber Monday, there are already reports that they're having record cyber sales already. So if that is the case, Amazon's probably going to run. If Amazon runs, that SPY is probably going to end up following it, because SPY is really stupid lately. 9 out of 10 stocks could be red, and SPY will find that one that's green and just end up following it. It's been really kind of stupid lately, but that's just the way it is. So if Amazon does end up having a solid green day, SPY could follow it. So I'd watch Amazon over 95 for probably push to 500. 100. Gets over 100. Next area would be what? 102. Yeah, 102. Then you get 105. This 105, 104 area, if it does manage to get over that, get a gap fill at the 110. So we'll have to see how strong the sales are and the momentum is, and the FOMO, if there's any FOMO behind it. We could see a pretty good run out of Amazon this week for a push to 110 on the Cyber Monday, and the Christmas sales could give it a nice little momentum push on Amazon. So another thing I'm looking at is I was looking at McDonald's, and McDonald's looks pretty good. I mean, the weekly, it's right up against that 275 level. I know it did pop up over, but it got harsh rejection, dropped more. But I think if it gets over this 276 level, it gets over that, we could see a push to 280 and to all-time high of 282, plus even push to 285. And it looks pretty good right now. It's flagging on the weekly. It's had a strong move from what, 230 all the way up to 280. So in a few weeks, it still could go more on the weekly. I mean, it is flagging and it's holding the RCT trend line, so it could easily get a push over a 280 for a push to, I mean, I don't know about 300, but definitely could see 280, 285 on McDonald's. Now, if Amazon goes, Microsoft could go, because Microsoft is starting to look pretty good on the weekly. As you can see right here on the weekly, it's bouncing off the 20 EMA or hitting it. It's hit it, rejected, and it back up there again, and it's flatlining at the 250 level. So it looks pretty good. Inverted head and shoulders. You get the left, you get the head, and you get the right shoulder. It gets over 250, probably with the help of Amazon. If Amazon does well in the market, that we could probably see a strong push out of Microsoft, push to 260. These gap resistance right there. It's going to gap fill right there to 266. So definitely could see a strong move out of Microsoft. So keep an eye on that. Got an ascending wedge right here going on the right shoulder. So definitely over 250, we could see a push to 260 pretty easily. Assuming that the market doesn't tank and does pretty good. So definitely look at that. Now Netflix, I'm looking at the other way, looking at a short on Netflix. Now it's kind of holding the RCT trend line right here in the 20 EMA on the daily, but to me it just seems like it's just running out of momentum, that if it gets below this 280 or even 281 level, that we could end up seeing a push down to let's see, 275, 270, 265, down to the 260 level. So we'll have to see if it actually does drop, because it has a nice little drop right here. It's in a bear flag on the 20 EMA, and that's why I'm thinking if we get below the 280, we could see more downside on Netflix. We'll have to see if that's what happens or not. Roku, I've kind of pretty much given up hope on Roku, because every time it starts to pop, it just gets slammed on. But maybe this time will be different. Who knows? I'm not holding out much for it, but if it gets get over 57, you could see a push to 60, 62, and then if it gets over 62, maybe the reversal on the weekly will actually happen. I mean, a daily will actually happen. We could see a push to 70. We used to see $40 days on Roku, but we don't see that anymore. But maybe we'll see a $10 day if it gets over 62. Or even 60, we could see a $10 day. I don't know. We'll have to see. But Roku has just been beaten down for so long that anytime it starts to get momentum, it gets shut down. I mean, popped up. It's still kind of holding a little bit. So we'll have to see if it actually will take off. So Tesla's next and the last one. Tesla. You know, a lot of the things is going on with Musk and Twitter, so that's probably why they're losing momentum, thinking that Tesla is just losing its focus, Musk's focus, because he's more worried about Twitter than he is Tesla. But the weekly, it is bouncing off this 180 level. It did close above 180, so maybe we're going to have a turning point on the weekly. A nice little green candle on the weekly. We'll have to see if it will continue. I would watch it over 185, push to 190, then 200, and at 200 it could stall out because of the big round number. But Tesla, just when it starts getting a short squeeze going, we could just see some really insane moves. So if it does manage to get over 200, we can probably push to 205, 210, 215, basically every $5, 220, 225, 230. But that's pretty crazy move. But Tesla can do some pretty crazy things, so have to keep an eye on that. So that's going to do it for the watch list, and thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the room.